Good morning and welcome to a basic tutorial for playing any arranger keyboard, whether that's Casio, Yamaha, Korg, or any other make that might be out there. We're going to look at basic playing using basic chords and basic right hand side, all quite basic really. So the first thing to do is to look at getting the keyboard set up correctly for an absolute beginner. So what I've decided is to have a look at the menu section. All keyboards should have the option to change the way that you do the fingering or the left hand side. So the first thing you need to do is go into find your fingering type, and you can see in the bottom right hand corner you've got selected on here fingering type single finger. That's what I want to keep it on. You can see there's lots of other options. There are multi-finger, fingered on bass, full keyboard, etc. But the simplest one for a beginner is single finger. That means that you can literally use a single finger to do a chord. So there's one press of a key, and one press of a key, and one press of a key. There are variations on those chords, but for the moment let's just think about single finger chords. The sort of music that I started playing on 30-40 years ago is very basic sheet music that looks something like this, and you can see that you've got the chord symbols in squares above the stave. So you can see there's a G in a square, an E minor in a square, a D in a square, and a C in a square. And that's your left hand. That's what we're going to do with our single finger. And then on the right hand, you'll be playing the notes that are on the stave. So you can see there you've got a D, a D, an E, a D, an E, a D, and so on. And they're all large and simple and easy to read for absolute beginners. So let's have a look at how you go about forming a single finger. So make sure that your accompaniment is turned on. Then what you need to do, when it says there's a G, for example, on that piece of music, you just go down to your G. So you can see that they start with a C, D, E, F, G. And if I hold down the G on my keyboard, you can hear that that forms what's called a chord. Now, a chord is made up of 3 notes, and we'll worry about that a little bit later. But for now, just be rest assured that pressing one key like that is a G. And then if we go back down to F, E, D, C, there's a C. And then we can go back up to C, D, E, F, G, and that's a G. So if we go back to our sheet music, you can see that the first chord that we come across is a G. So I've shown you that one. Where was the G? That was just there. If we go back to our sheet music, you can see that the next chord along is an E minor. So on a Yamaha keyboard, to get an E minor, if you press the E and then the black key immediately to the left, you get an E minor. Let's go back to the main screen a second. You can look in the center there, you can see I'm pressing an E, and then if you add the black key, it's an E minor. So that's still very, very simple to do. And you can do that with any chord. You can go to G, and you can do a G minor by pressing the black key to the left. Or you could go to a C and press the black key to the left, and you get a C minor. So once again, we had a G followed by an E minor, which is an E with the black key to the left. I think on Casio keyboards, it's the E with the white key to the right for a minor. So it'll be an E and the F together. I won't do on here because that'll give me a different chord. But on a Casio, I think I'd say it's an E with the black to the right. And I honestly don't know what that is on a Korg or other makes. But you should be able to check your user manual to find out how to form a minor or a 7th chord, which we'll come back to later. But let's go back to our sheet music. You can see that we had a G and an E minor, and then the next chord along is a D. So let's have a look at the D as well. So we already know a G. We already know an E minor, so C, D, E, and the black one to the left. And the next chord along was a D. So if we go C and D, and that's D. So we've now got G, E minor, and D. Already you're beginning to form a piece of music. So let's go back to the sheet music and see some other pieces on there. You can see that the start of the piece of music doesn't have a chord symbol above it, which means that you don't play any left hand at all. and then you've got the black bar, and then immediately you've got a G. And each of these bars last for a count of 4. And you can see that because at the beginning of the piece of music it's got a 4 and a 4. Okay, don't worry too much at the moment what that all means, but basically it means you count to 4. So when we hold down the G, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to a C, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see that the D chord lasted for 2 bars. You can see there's a line separating between the A and the B there. That means for the D we had to count to 8. What you'll also notice is that I held down the chord G, 1, 2, 3, 4, because if I just touch it and let go, it disappears. That won't be the case when the actual accompaniment is running, but at the moment, for just playing chords, you're going to have to hold down the chord for the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 1, 2, and so on. So let's look at putting this simple piece of music together with the left hand, and perhaps try playing some notes with the right hand as well. So you can see that the first 2 notes to be played with the right hand are a D and then a D. So bearing in mind that we're using this part of the keyboard for chords, this part of the keyboard, the center, is what we're going to be using to play the melody. So you can see that it starts with a D and then a D, and we're counting to 4, but this opens with a bar of 2. So that's fine. So we can go 1, 2, and then the next one, you've got E and then D. Now these notes are worth 2 each. Don't worry about what they're called, but they're worth 2 each. So we started with B, D, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But what else comes in when you press the E? Well, you've got the chord of G. So now if we put all that together, we've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Try that again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see how much different it sounds when you bring the chord, because that sound on its own sounds quite empty. But when you bring the chord in, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we look along to the next bar where the E minor is, you can see there's a little black flat square underneath it. That's known as a rest, and that rest also is worth 2. That means that you don't play any notes with the right hand for the count of 2. So if we do our note again, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, nothing, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And we'll just put the E minor in with this as well, just to give it, and I think that'll be enough for this first lesson. So you started off with the G, but you don't play a chord to start with, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't sound amazing at the moment, I know, but it's a start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I went on to do the last bar of that top, which was E and then G. The E is worth 1, and the G, you can see it's got a little dot after it, so it looks like the earlier notes that were worth 2, but the little dot after it means it's worth 3. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you put it all together, you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what have we learned today? We've learnt the chord of G. We've learnt the chord of E minor. and we've learned the chord of D, and we've learned the chord of C. Just a single press of the key. G, a single press of a G. D, a single press of the D. C, a single press of the C. And the E minor was a bit more complicated. It was E and the black one to the left, and that gives us an E minor. We also had a look at the different values of some of the notes. So you could see that the D and the D to start with are worth 1 each. The E and the D in the white notes were worth 2 each. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that G at the end with the little dot next to it, remember that was worth 3. 1, 2, 3. And that will do for the lesson today. Perhaps you should try practicing the chords G, the E minor, the D and the C. Thank you for watching.